A very warm welcome to everybody watching. I'll endeavor to give you a glimpse into the smallest and the richest of the world's floral kingdoms. Situated right at the tip of Africa, the Cape Floral Kingdom is a truly unique botanical landscape. The Cape escaped the severe major glaciation events of the Earth's recent history, which allowed the Cape's flora to explode in diversity like nowhere else on Earth. With mild Mediterranean climate that is cool wet winters and hot, dry, windy summers, the vegetation is essentially treeless and apparently quite unremarkable. However, varying geologies, nutrient-poor soils, high, steep mountains, and reliable rainfall have all contributed to a multitude of unique microclimates into which these species have expanded and diversified. Globally, a total of 6 floral kingdoms have been recognized, with the Cape at number 6, circled in red, being regarded as by far the smallest and the richest of them all. A true biodiversity hotspot, in fact the hottest of all the hotspots. The aptly named fynbos, which is a Dutch word for fine bush, is by far the dominant vegetation type at 82%, with approximately 10,000 plant species in an area covering only 0.04% of the Earth's land surface. The area is one of the highest species densities on Earth. The area on this map, marked in mauve, represents the Cape Floral Kingdom and stretches in a roughly 200-kilometer wide strip along the winter rainfall southwestern coastline of South Africa. It's not only the density and the diversity of plant species that classifies this area as a biodiversity hotspot. Additionally, 68% of the plants that occur here are endemic, meaning they're found here and nowhere else on Earth. And here are just a few examples of either species or families that only occur in the fynbos biome. From time to time, natural bushfires ravage the vegetation, and fire has been a normal occurrence in the fynbos for as long as it's existed. Paradoxically, the fynbos ecosystems have evolved to depend on it. And however, miraculously within days of a fire, the seemingly dead vegetation responds, like this fire lily, the Satanthus ventricosus. The flower buds are triggered by heat and smoke and will only flower after fire. Vast quantities of seed are then released from serotinous plants like this protea, which will then be blown by the wind and will take advantage of the newly cleared habitats. Other resprouting plants not killed by the fire too rapidly respond to take advantage of the light and the space. Now, fynbos is principally typified by 3 dominant plant families. The most iconic are probably the proteas. And here are just a few of them: pagoda bushes, spider heads, pincushions, proteas, and marsh roses, amongst numerous others, comprise this charismatic and florally very diverse family, not least of which, of course, is the South African national flower, the king protea. The second group are the heathers or ericas, comprising an astounding 700 plus species. They're one of the largest families in the fynbos. And flowers come in every imaginable shape and color, and many have brightly colored tubular flowers to attract nectar-drinking sunbirds and thus affecting cross-pollination. The third major group are the restios or Cape reeds, which are grass-like monocots, male and female plants often looking quite different, and they range in height from just a few centimeters to over 2.5 meters tall and are pollinated by the wind. The area is also especially rich in spectacular bulbous plants from a variety of plant families consisting of over 2,200 species. These are particularly prevalent on the richer clay soils. Here are orchids, irises, colchicums, asphodels, and hyacinths, to name a few. The much drier inland succulent Karoo comprises 12% and is dominated by a vast variety of xerophytic plants like these euphorbias and mesons, which are often called ice plants. The succulents really are the jewels of the felt, in my opinion. My particular area of interest lies in the study and the cultivation of these succulent plants, like this Aloinopsis spatulata. Kirstenbosch National Botanical Garden is conveniently located right in the epicenter of the Cape Floral Kingdom, with the majestic cliffs of Table Mountain as the backdrop. I'm privileged to call this my office. Here we endeavor to showcase some of this botanical diversity to visitors from all over the world. Parts of the garden predate Kirstenbosch by a century, like this Colonel Bird's bath, which is built around a natural crystal clear spring which flows all year round. It started in 1913. Kirstenbosch was the first botanical garden in the world to focus on exclusively growing indigenous native plants, like these tree ferns. The warm, sun-facing slope of the site, as well as the varied soil types, create an ideal, informal and naturalistic setting, which lends itself very well to the representing of the main fynbos plant groups. Kirstenbosch is a garden that shines in every season of the year. In autumn or fall, the shady parts of the garden come alive with vivid mauves and magentas, whites and blues of the various Plectranthus species, which are all part of the sage family. In winter, the coldest and rainiest time of the year, the secret season, commences with the simultaneous flowering of the many aloe species, like here in the Matthews Rockery. In spring, which is a riot of color, in my opinion, the best time of the year at Kirstenbosch, the luminous colors of these shrubby mesons, like Drosanthemum and Lampranthus, light up the meson banks. And these are complemented with the annual daisy displays of Acinia, Senecio, Arctotus, and Gazania, which also make a dazzling display, attracting flocks of tourists to witness a relatively short-lived spectacle. Being winter-growing annuals, their spring display lasts only a few weeks, from mid-September to mid-October. Summer is commandeered by an array of pincushions from the Protea family, which come in all colors of orange, yellow, red, and provide much-needed nectar for the sunbirds and sugarbirds. A major focus of the garden is protecting our threatened plants. Here, a former colleague, master plantsman and former nursery manager Anthony Hitchcock, is inspecting Erica verticillata. It had been driven to extinction by flower pickers and habitat loss. Through his efforts, it's now being successfully restored back into the wild. The conservatory provides a dry and protected place to grow plants that cannot cope with the high annual rainfall of Kirstenbosch. Unlike tropical hothouses of the Northern Hemisphere, this conservatory is not heated, but allows for ambient cool air to pass through it, simply providing a place to house and showcase the rare succulent plants from the arid parts of the country. Kirstenbosch concerts, the music concerts, have become a favorite activity for Capetonians during summer, and perhaps the most famous of them all is the Carols by Candlelight, which happens every year before Christmas. One of the latest and most successful introductions to Kirstenbosch has been the Boomslang Tree Canopy Walkway. Installed in 2014 as part of our 100-year birthday celebration, this has provided visitors with a new and thrilling perspective on the garden. So when next you're planning your visit to Cape Town, make sure to stop in at Kirstenbosch and come and visit. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. What a lovely glimpse of Kirstenbosch. Okay, so from Brad, I know in Western North America. Hello, Canada. wondering about the impact of climate change on terrestrial biodiversity. Adam,
Well,
can you
that's
give
a
us
very
an
good
answer on
question.
that one?
Yeah, I'll try. Um, climate change is such a strange thing, and it affects our various ecosystems in so many different ways. And a lot of it has been documented anecdotally in the loss of plants like our quiver trees, a succulent tree that occurs in the Macqualand, where they've noticed over the last few decades that a number of mature specimens have been dying, and this has been attributed to climate change. Um, it's hypothesized that plants that can move up and down slopes that are on steep terrain can perhaps retreat to cooler climates further up the slope. But on plants that occur on the ground, in the last few years, for example, we've seen a really severe drought. And there have been records of mass mortality of some succulent species, particularly in the Richtersveld National Park. And this is very, very concerning. So these plants have died from nothing else than drought. It's still to be seen how the increasing CO2 levels affect certainly the Cape Floral Kingdom, but this is already being documented to some extent in the grasslands and in the savanna areas, where they hypothesize that more bush encroachment might start happening. The woody species start taking over and
And put
overwhelmingly.
time frame on that hypothesis?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's anybody's guess, man. It's hopefully later rather than sooner.
Yeah, I know.
I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. We have another one saying, we're so familiar with geraniums and pelargoniums being from South Africa. How do they fit in and where do they grow? And this comes from Hawaii.
That's a very good question as well. Geraniums occur widely as well. They recognize this as common house plants and window box plants right the way across the northern hemisphere. Extensively used as bedding plants as well. And not many people realize that they are, in fact, all originate in South Africa. In fact, most of the gaudy, bright hybrids that people see are actually only originate from literally a handful of species that were taken over to Europe a long time ago and bred and developed. And but the interesting thing is that there are many geraniums or pelargoniums, members of the geranium family, that occur in the Cape Floral Kingdom. And I've got a little chart here, and I'm just having a look at the geranium family, and there are in fact 155 different geranium members, or pelargoniums as we call them, in the Cape fynbos. So they're widely represented, and they have a variety of curious growth forms as well. Some of them are bulbous and geophytic, and they live virtually entirely underground, and they go dormant for the summer. And other species are shrubs like the ones we're usually familiar with in our gardens, and usually have bright, colorful flowers. And then, of course, there are the succulent ones that have really fat succulent stems and sometimes quite succulent leaves. So they really come in a big variety of shapes and colors.
But they're still ours. Oh, well, thank you for that. I think from a time point of view, we will greet you and thank you and move on